Ispričaj kaj misliš da je tranzit Venere?
Tranzit Venere je rijetka pojava.
Šta mislite da je tranzit Venere, samo ako nam možete?
Prelaz Venere preko Sunca, ne znam kad je bilo, ove godine nikad.
Ok, hvala. Radimo
Mala točkica vam pređe, flekica preko Sunca. Hvala.
Kje je za tebe tranzit Venere?
Evo pojma.
The Venus transit occurs when Venus is positioned exactly between the Earth and the Sun, i.e. when it is in its lower conjunction, so it is possible to see its silhouette passing over the Sun's disk. If the orbit of Venus was exactly aligned with the Earth's orbit around the Sun, i.e. with the ecliptic, the transit would occur every lower conjunction, almost every year. However, the orbit and the ecliptic of Venus are not aligned, but form the angle of 3.4 degrees. That's why the transit is such a rare event. From the data gathered by observing the previous transits, the astronomers have concluded that during one cycle of 243 years, 4 transits of Venus occur, and that they appear in intervals of 8, 105.5, 8 and 121.5 years. In 1627, Johannes Kepler was the first to foresee the Venus transit. The transit took place in December 1631. Unfortunately, Kepler didn't live to see it. Although Kepler's anticipations suggested that the next Venus transit would not appear before the next century, a young and ambitious British astronomer, Jeremiah Horrocks, was convinced that the next transit would happen in 1639. He was right, and so became the first person to observe the transit of Venus. Edmund Halley, by observing the Mercury transit in 1677, concluded that the precise determination of the duration of the Venus transit could be used to determine the distance between the Sun and the Earth. The technique could have been realized by conducting observations from different parts of the world. The Venus transit in 1761 was, among others, observed by Lomonosov, who noticed that along with the black Venus's disk that seemingly moved over the overheated Sun's disk, Venus had a beautiful halo of light around its dark edge. Lomonosov concluded that it should have been exactly expected if Venus had an atmosphere. However, one of the greatest journeys on the account of observing Venus was the expedition of James Cook in 1768 to 1770. Except for the search for the great southern continent, the goal of James Cook and the astronomer Charles Green was to measure the exact time of contact of the Venus and the Sun's disk, in order to determine the distance between the Earth and the Sun. Neither Cook nor Green managed to precisely measure the time of the second and third contact. During the last transit in 1882, the intellectual world awoke from the dark years and started the amazing scientific activity that brought to advanced knowledge of the present day. The year is 2004. June 8th. 6:30 a.m. The preparations started early in the morning. Telescope, camera, long glass, camera obscura, filters. The excitement is growing. We finally saw it. We can usually see it during the early evening or morning hours. This is a rare opportunity to see it during the day because it crosses over the Sun's disk. It can be observed in many ways. The oldest one is the camera obscura. It is made in the following way. A small hole is punctured on one side of a cardboard box and is directed towards a source of light. On the opposite side of the box, an image of the light source that is dependent on the hole size is projected. Since the discovery of the telescope, the method of projection has been more common. A stand with a sheet of paper on it is attached on a telescope. In order to increase the contrast of the image, a lampshade is put in front of the telescope. Here is the Sun and the small black dot, Venus. The simplest way to see it is to look through a special filter. The filter absorbs 99.9% of sun's radiation and therefore protects our eyes. It is also possible to look through a long glass, of course with a protective filter on it. In order to permanently keep the records of the transit, we used small CCD cameras, mounted them on the telescope and connected them to the computer. Everyone was thrilled with the results of the observation, the young and grown-up alike.